Welcome to Signal Soundbytes. I'm Brandon Peña, Editor-in-Chief of The Signal, and on today's episode, we will be talking about the Houston raid gone wrong and bulletin board removal here at UHCL. Joining me here on today's episode are two awesome, amazing co-workers of mine, and they're now going to introduce themselves. Take it away.
Hi, I'm Alyssa Shotwell. I am the online editor of your UHCL The Signal.
And I am Katherine Rodriguez. I am the audience engagement editor of The Signal.
Well, welcome, ladies. It's nice to have you.
Thank you, Brandon.
And so let's just get right into it. So Houston Police Chief Art Acevedo confirmed in a press conference on February 15th that a narcotics operation that led to an officer-involved shooting, leaving 2 people dead and 5 officers injured, is being reviewed by Internal Affairs. Specifically, the department is looking into claims where the lead case agent, who was also injured in the shooting, said that a confidential informant made a previous drug purchase at the home, which prompted the approval of a no-knock search warrant. This ended up, surprisingly, in a twist of scenarios, turned out not to be true. And 59-year-old Dennis Turtle and 58-year-old Rogina Nicholas were killed by police officers involved in that raid. So, what was your reaction to this whole news situation and the twists that are now coming out?
Wild. I'm just going to say wild because the fact every time there's an officer involved shooting, that just automatically creates a lot of conversation, and they always turn to the fact that, people need to respect their law enforcement, and we appreciate law enforcement. So it's like we have high respect for these individuals. So it's obviously when you have 5 officers injured at a 4 or 5. I think it was 5.
4.
Yeah, 4.
Okay, 4. Whatever.
No, actually, no, it's 5.
Yeah.
I
got a different article. Update, breaking
No, it's
news.
okay. So when you have 5 officers injured, it's like big deal. What happened? So when you see all the facts, and then after 2 or 3 weeks of the actual original shooting, you see all the craziness that was behind it. Where did they get this warrant from? How do they actually, they didn't have sufficient information for them to actually get a warrant because this confidential witness or whatever report, tip, whatever they're calling it, was not true. It's like, what? How did the cop know that there was something going on there? Because, you can say something is suspicious and it might not necessarily be, and specifically he knew that
to what degree for a no-knock?
Exactly.
Like there's varying degrees that you follow up on. You have a feeling, right? And he went almost to like the extreme.
Yeah, exactly.
And sometimes that is required, but it looks like this wasn't one of those times. Something really disappointing about it is, I think what the the chief said is like that most people are doing their job, and it's really disheartening if it's a possibility that this officer that lied to get the warrant could be one of those not in the 95%. Not just like for the community trust, but also like he went with other officers. If those officers don't know, giving them the benefit of the doubt, they don't know the situation. Like he put his brothers and sisters at risk too.
Absolutely.
It is all negative from every angle. If the investigation continues to come to the conclusion that that's what happened, because I think it's still ongoing. And before it's turned into a conversation just about who the bad ones are and how that affects communities, even just within if he goes back to work, what is that going to do about the trust of the people? They're working and they're going out together. I don't think he should go back to work. That is my personal opinion.
No, I don't think he will. I did read that Acevedo said that he was going to be severely punished, as it is a crime to lie to court. To lie in court, obviously, and I don't think he will be.
Maybe to the Houston, but other sometimes you see scandals in careers. Sometimes they just get transferred somewhere else, and I wouldn't want someone like that in another city. You don't push the problem because it's not mine, right? It's we're a big community, even outside of your street and your neighborhood, and he should not be working
For the police.
anywhere. I just can't. I'm sorry. The more I think about it, like, the more mad I'm getting.
So what actions do you think need to be taken?
Well, first of all, obviously suspending him, putting him in jail, whatever they have to do, and get to the reasoning, like, of why did he want to go to that specific house, that specific neighborhood, because there has to be a reason. Like, you cannot say that it was just, he was just thinking that something was happening. Like Alyssa was saying, there is a line in between thinking that something is suspicious and going in there and killing 2 people and then, injuring.
Even if there is
4
suspicion,
others.
there's things you can do before you do no knock. The knock one. You can, there's multiple steps that you can do that involve following up that are not what happened.
So does this situation, does it change or affirm your opinions on law enforcement? Or does it do nothing at all?
It's like we were saying, it's the same as separating the artist from the work, I believe. I mean, I have never ever read or seen or experienced anything like this with law enforcement before. It's never the case. So I wouldn't necessarily blame the whole HPD organization for something that an individual did. I do think that procedures have to change within the department, that they have to ensure, because Houston is a massive city, and then let's be real, there is a lot of crime, whether it's big or small. So it's kind of being more diligent and more careful with, their warrants and the way they proceed with these investigations.
Mine, it just kind of continued to affirm. I do believe, just like the chief said, that it is a very small percentage, but every time, rightfully so, that small percentage does make public outcry and news and stuff. The way that it's handled is going to set the tone for next. No matter what they do, something else is going to happen in the future. But if you can make that problem smaller and smaller, the way that it's handled right now will set the tone for whatever the next thing is. Even if it's not in Houston and it's in another city or another state, outside of PR campaigns, making actual changes and connections with the people that they're working with and working for would help.
I gotta give our Acevedo props, because he is one of the single best police chiefs in the state of Texas. He is somebody who, regardless of what happened, he can be upfront with people. He's highly involved with the community, so the way he's been handling it has been really admirable.
You know how long he's been
At Houston Police, I think it's 2 years, because he was in Austin before. So when I was working in Austin, he was the Austin Police Chief.
Yeah, I've only heard positive things from him, and I'm hoping all of that trickles down.
He makes a big impact with the Hispanic community too. He's shown his support, so with the immigrant community, that's what I mean.
Well, speaking of positive reviews, we're now going to talk about something that's getting mixed reviews. The Bulletin board kiosk in Atrium I and the student organization Bulletin wall by the patio cafe in the Bayou Building have been taken down. There was no campus-wide communication sent out beforehand. Dion Bunch, the Associate Vice President of Marketing and Communications, said, quote, "These bulletin boards were removed in efforts to enhance our university's administrative building main entrance area. The decision to remove the bulletin boards followed the observation by staff in the offices of Vice President of Administration and Finance and Marketing and Communication. Staff noticed that the material on the bulletin boards had not been updated, and there was they also noted that the student organization bulletin wall had several underutilized spaces. So this has caused a couple of mixed reactions, especially from students who are involved in organizations. So how do you personally feel about the bulletin board removal?
So are we talking about the wall right now or the pillars? So I have separate.
You could, yeah, either one.
Okay, so for the wall, it is very, as a person that is a leadership position in an org, hearing that it wasn't used as why it was taken down is very irritating, because last summer they put up advertisements for incoming students. They did a design on every other one, and they highlighted faculty and staff and students, and there was confusion among orgs how long is that going to be up there? When can we put things up there? I kind of got, depending, because I talked to Student Life like twice, I kind of got like hem-hauled answers, like we don't really know, or yeah, you can, but there was not any like concrete answers as to how to go about then like taking it down, because it's not like those things were dated. You can't just take down the words UHCL without getting like possibly in trouble for it.
Yeah, because they were like posters that featured orientation leaders and things like that, I believe.
And I before going to student life, I had asked people from other orgs like, hey, do you know when we can use that again, because it's still being used by Student Life, and maybe Marcom, like I don't know who all was involved with that, and the confusion around that is why it's irritating for somebody else to say like, you guys weren't using it so we took it away. Not like it's a toy, but like you guys weren't utilizing it. Nobody knew what was going on with it. Granted, it was like 6 months, but if there would have been an announcement or it would have been taken down, there would have been more than just the volleyball club putting it up. Because I was afraid with our student org, if we put something up and it was taken down, it was probably going to end up in the trash. And we spend money on getting stuff like laminated and lots of print copies. Like, we're not going to invest in that board if there's stuff on it, it's going to be taken down. To the degree that it should have been updated, not updated, that it looked a little shabby. It would have been cool if it were updated. It would have been cool if it were made to look nicer. But that's on the school to change the felt or the wood or whatever. Like that's a good observation. But don't just take it down. Like, replace it if you have an issue with it. I got so many feelings.
My problems with this is that place was used for a lot of student organizations to post relevant events, monthly campaigns, a wide variety of things. The thing is that, a month went by, 2 months went by, 3 months went by, and those January, flyers would still be in there when it's like March, and it's like, okay, if you're gonna put them, just make sure.
Like the pillars?
Yeah.
Okay.
Make sure
there's 2 spaces. I was just making sure.
Make sure to take them down. So that's my observation from, for the organization part of it, for the student orgs. But that is also a place where students, including myself, would find things that they might be interested in, things that can help them. I mean, there was a bunch of things posted there, from the counseling, career services, like student organizations,
jobs,
like
selling books.
Yeah, exactly. Internship fairs, all of this stuff. So it's like, where can people go now? Because as far as I know, there's not a place where I can go on the UHCL website to find all of this information. Though they do have a calendar, it's not necessarily 100% updated because student orgs don't always go through the university to promote or host like smaller type of events. So it's like, if you're gonna take it out or take it down, good deal, but make sure that you have a place that is organized and that's visually appealing and it doesn't like look bad.
Well, what is now being promoted is the Get Involved website, which is within UHCL's website, is put out by the Student Life Office, and essentially it is meant to be a place for student orgs to promote their events digitally. So do you think that these types of digital postings will be more widely accepted over time, or do you think that the paper bulletin board postings are still relevant?
I mean, it is a combination. It's like, we still look at billboards when we're driving. You know what I mean? If we see a giant billboard that has so it's like, I mean, I do check my phone more than I'm like walking around, looking around. But I do think that is another way. For example, people that used to go to the patio cafe, they would have to walk by the wall, so they would have to see what was posted in there. You know what I mean? So it was still a good way to promote events, even though we now have the convenience of looking at it from our phones. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing. Like, a hybrid model works best for membership, for orgs, and then for outside things, more ways of getting eyes. Because honestly, online, even before getting involved, you're competing with freaking Coca-Cola on Facebook walls, right? And you get to get involved. It's still working out its kinks, but there's some like long-term issues with that. Getting students to sign into another thing that, quite frankly, like they don't want to. Like, I think Get Involved is cool, but like it's pulling teeth to get people to check their student emails. Why would they check Get Involved when the accessibility of the boards was so like used so often? As far as solutions go, a hybrid model would be best. And if that wall just cannot come up because foots are down, I think at bare minimum some bulletin board, like massive one like the four we had before, in a central location would make for better communication. And I know there's those little ones everywhere that are like a battlefield trying to get a flyer on there, and they all bend because of the AC. I don't know why they do that, but there's a big one in SSB at the far corner by financial aid that like nobody knows about. I don't even post flyers there. There needs to be one big area. Like, if you don't like the way it looks, just put it in one place. We're not asking for one per building.
I was gonna say something. Whenever they were building the campus and recreation facility, one of the things that Brian Mills told me was that he was going to have a space delegated for these flyers because he didn't want them, all around the rec center, just messing up the overall look of the building. So something like that, like taking Mills' approach, would also be helpful, but not necessarily get rid of all of them. Just try to come up with a visually appealing, if you wanted to be visually appealing, way to still do it somewhere on the Bayou Building, because this is where everybody goes to class. Like, everybody walks through Bayou Building,
I've seen in other campuses, like other colleges, and to be frank, a lot of movies or college, that they'll have them in a central place and outside, and we don't have that yet. So the Bayou Building is that middle of campus, even though geographically maybe it's not, right? And that was the best spot for it.
Yeah, because everybody, essentially walks through that area, and I think, it'd be nice to have a specific spot where you can put all these postings, because, I'll be honest, and you walk around, there's, the ones on the walls as you're walking down the hallways, there's multiples that you see of the same flyers usually. I can understand how that can look cluttered and how that could not look as appealing. But if you had a central location, which, would have been the Atrium area, where it's in the center, everybody walks by it, where people can put their flyers, you would probably save money, you would probably save paper, and it would look more appealing than
having them spread out everywhere.
Yeah.
I think if they cut down all those little ones, like in half, and bring back the big ones, like, win-win.
Yeah, because, at the end of the day, I can see the appeal of doing things digitally. We promote our stuff digitally on social media. That's just the way it's naturally progressing. However, at the same time, you're also having to be dependent upon people going to this website or going to your social media and seeing it.
The time and the desire to use the technology. Offering the technology is something, but you can't force people to use that.
Take a poll of how many people log into Blackboard more than once a month, or webmail, that are not faculty and staff, and those numbers will probably be really low. I do it. I'm an email freak, but
yes.
I know I'm in the minority in that.
Blackboard, not so much. Seriously, because none of my professors post anything on Blackboard, so Blackboard to me is like...
Yeah, I'm slowly transitioning where I'm getting more teachers like that, and I'm like, I just want to shake them, like, please, I don't know what's going on.
All right, thank you guys for listening. This has been a great episode. It's been great having Alyssa and Katherine here, Kay here with us today. Any final thoughts before we sign off?
Bring back the bulletin board.
Please.
Please, the rodeo's starting. I hope you guys have some fun. You get to go?
Yeah.
Yeah? No?
Maybe. Yeah. Thank you guys for listening. Be sure to follow us on Facebook. And then also, if you have any questions, comments, or anything at all, send it to signalsoundbytes at UHCLthesignal.com. Yep.
Bye-bye.
Bye.